if this will work. We will see that very soon. Again, I'm on this stupid device called a smartphone that I have to use for a while now. And yeah, I'm in my car. I'm going to talk about hypocrites. Yeah. And I guess that there are lots of examples of those. But I'm going to point at one particular tradition that is a hypocritical tradition in many countries. Now, I don't know if this is a European thing or if it's the same in North America. Now, I don't know. I'll get to that. Now, from the title, you will also see that I have put in the title Heathen Hangout. Some of you will remember that some time ago I used to call some of my live streams Heathen Hangouts because, and it was not my term to begin with, but it was something that some YouTubers started doing. So if you come from a pagan, heathen background, and that's your tradition and so on, that's your life philosophy, if you will, we look at things from a pagan or heathen perspective. Now, I can see, here's the chat. Let's see. Tyrdom is here, looking sharp. Yeah, well, I have modern clothes on. Horror Business is here. Hi there. Matthew says, I found out I'm 22% Norwegian. DJ Lewis is here. I can't see. There's only this little piece down here with the chat for some reason. What I'm going to say now is like, I guess some time ago I would maybe have thought twice about this, but now I don't care. I don't care about that at all. I don't care if I'm offending someone. I probably am all of the time, and I don't care about that. So I was supposed to be in a church, believe it or not, at this moment. Yeah. And I will not be in a church. I will not enter a church if there's a religious ritual going on there, because I'm not a Christian. And they sing these songs, which basically the text is like, oh, I love God and I'm a Christian and all of that. Which is fine if you are a Christian, but I'm not. So I will not be there in that church singing those songs. I am talking about a ritual called Christian confirmation. Christian confirmation. And apparently, at this time of the year, I always forget when it is, but apparently at this time of the year, the kids or teenagers, I think they're about 14, they have their Christian confirmation. But here's the thing. Most of those kids are not Christian. Most of those kids do it for the money. And also they do it because there's a social pressure on them from relatives. Yeah, there is rain outside. It's raining on the roof of the car and so on. So here's the thing, okay? I'm not blaming those kids, because when you're 14, it's not always easy to be strong enough to not do the Christian confirmation. But those relatives who are themselves not Christians by the definition of Christianity, which at least must have something to do with accepting the figure of Jesus as a real someone who was actually alive in our world, and also that he was the Son of God. If you do not accept that, you're not a Christian. Honestly. If you do not agree with that, you are not a Christian. And I believe that if you do not believe that, truly believe that, then you should not do the Christian confirmation, because you're confirming that you are a Christian. And you shouldn't do that if you're not. So here's the thing, you know, I'm not going to be in that church singing. No, I wouldn't be singing at. Listen, you think I will be standing there in a group of people singing? I'll never do that, of course. That's not how I do things. But also, I wouldn't want to be there looking at the text and hearing all these people singing, "Oh yes, we believe in God, and God is the mighty and everything, and Jesus Christ." I mean, no. So there's this social gathering after, and this is a relative of mine, a distant relative, I must say. But I'm being dragged along, I guess, and it's like, okay, I'll go to the social gathering a little bit. I'll do that, but I won't get into that church. I won't be in the church. And I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care if they feel that that's hurting their little feelings. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, come on. If you're an adult, you would know by now who cares about your well-being and who doesn't give a damn. I'll say it again, excuse my Norwegian pronunciation here. If you're an adult being, you should know by now who cares about your well-being and who doesn't. You should know by now who doesn't give a fucking damn about your well-being. And you shouldn't do anything to those people. You shouldn't do anything for those people who don't really care about you. That's my opinion. Now, should you be kind to strangers? Should you be? Yes, I believe so. Should you be helpful? Yes. Should you help the needy and all that? I believe so. That's straight out of the Havamal. Not word by word, but, and by the way, that's not a Christian thing. It might have been added to Christianity after a while, but it's not really a Christian thing. Traditionally, it's a recent thing in Christianity. But anyway, that's a different discussion. So what I wanted to talk about is the hypocrites. Why are people being hypocrites? So they go to church. This is a typical situation, right? They go to church and they sing all these psalms and all of that. Jesus this and Jesus that, and afterwards I know for a fucking fact, I know they will be talking about one particular thing: immigrants. At the social gathering, these elderly relatives, distant relatives, they will be talking about immigrants, and they don't like immigrants. They don't think that they should be here. And that's fair enough. But from my understanding of Christianity and the teachings of Jesus, that's not really a very Christian. And mind you, Christ is in the word Christianity and Christian. It's not a very Christian stance, is it? Of course, in the USA, you know, with MAGA and all that, you know, they have their own particular form of Christianity, and they don't like Christ so much, do they? So I want to also emphasize something here, because I haven't been. So there's the Thor's hammer, the Mjolnir. Okay. And it's not a fashion statement. Also, I don't need to show it off all of the time, you know. I do it in the Viking videos because it would have been very often, you know, in the Viking age, jewelry would have been displayed because that they were kind of a little bit like that. They liked to, in the Viking age, both men and women, but especially the men, they liked to show off a little bit with bright colors and jewelry if they could afford jewelry, and so on and so on. And yeah, so but normally I don't really display it, but it's part of me. And excuse me, I had something in my teeth. And I think that during recent live streams I have talked about what I, as a pagan, what does it mean, you know? And maybe I haven't emphasized enough the significance of the gods. Now, what I have said is that I do not believe in Odin and the other gods as literal gods, like literal beings, like physical beings. And I don't do that. I don't believe they're like physical beings in another world and maybe Odin travels to our world now and then. I don't believe that that's a thing. But it's difficult to explain, but that doesn't mean that I don't believe in them as deities, okay? It's very difficult to define a god, and the reason is that we have been brought up with this idea of the one almighty God, that the Christians, they very obnoxiously use the word for God as the name of their God, you know? So, but anyway, Amy says, I understand that 100%, thank you. Listen, if do you have a dream that is reoccurring? Do you have like a dream that, reoccurring dreams? Maybe there's a person, maybe a deceased person in that dream. Amy says, I do. Yes, so do I. More so when I was a child, but also I'm a novelist, and writing novels is sort of dreaming in while you're awake. That's what I feel. And those if you have these like these beings or people in your dreams, like, okay, those, or like the people in the books that I'm writing, they're not physical beings, but they are more than just abstract feelings or thoughts. You get what I'm saying here? And I think that's what the gods are to me. So not only are they representing forces in nature, but also they are beings, but they're not like physical beings. That's no. This is just a feeling, you know. This is how I relate to the gods, right? And I'm not saying I'm right, not saying I'm wrong. It's just how I choose to and to relate to the Norse gods. And if you do that in a different way, or not at all, that's perfectly fine as well. It's not better or worse. It's just your way. Your way. You do you. You know. That's the good thing about paganism, by the way, or heathenism. We don't expect anyone to think or do as we do. You can do what you like. You should do what you like. So that's what I feel about the gods. So it's like they're not nothing. They're not just feelings. And there is more to paganism than just being one with nature. You know? And I honestly feel that that's a more honest way to be a spiritual person than to go to these religious rituals in churches when you're not even really a Christian. That's what I think. So let's see here. I bought these at the gas station. The cheapest I could find. They have the same strength as my other reading glasses. Look at this. Yeah. But yeah, they don't really fit, you know, because my nose is here, right, and I have this kind of big forehead thing coming out here, so they end up like a little bit too high. Look out, ladies. Yes, I know. Yeah. Let's see. I'll just I'll scroll up a little bit here. Julie says, please stay safe and never bend your knee to anyone. Your people are important and worth protecting. I am so sorry if you ever had a bad experience with Christians. Well, it's like, you know, that happens daily. You just have to, you can read the news. That's, you know, it's everywhere. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. Amy says, I look cute in these. Oh, yeah, I know. Morris is asking how was stage speaking. Well, yeah, I was doing the stage speaking thing as an author. So sometimes the publishing company, they will pick a few selected authors when they have a book that's autumn, and they will send us around to talk to the booksellers. And yeah, so me and 5 other people, I think. But I was bullied by a vegetable lady. Yeah. She wouldn't leave me in peace with my steak. So that was, I didn't like that so much. And now that I'm, I haven't been traveling like that, like using public transport, like airplanes and so on, for a while. And being at hotels and it's like, these hotels, what's the fucking vegetable thing? The vegan thing. It's vegan everywhere, and I hate it. Now, if you're a vegan, knock yourself out. Wonderful. But I need steak. That's what I need, So my diet is basically, now I quit all the grain, and so I eat a bunch of eggs in the morning. I can eat the eggs again. When I quit the grain, I can eat eggs. Lots of eggs in the morning, and as much steak as I can eat during the day. So, yeah, I feel wonderful. But yeah, now apparently I'm going to die very soon because of that. But I will say this. This one I will say. I will say this, okay? This one observation I have made, okay? Hi there. I can see you there. Wonderful. So, why is it that if you have people, men or women, who are carnivores, like you heard about the carnivore diet, and then they're typically being shamed in a group of people, especially now it's very popular to shame people for eating meat. And you look at them, and then you look at the people eating either the crap that I'm actually looking at the grocery store now, eating just most of the food they sell there is just crap, Look at those people, or look at the vegan people. So compare the carnivores to those who looks the most healthy and young. You know the answer. Have you ever seen anyone on a carnivore diet who doesn't look healthy? I haven't. They all look lean, strong, and healthy. So, that's just the way it is. So they can talk about that was not what I was going to talk about, but I was pestered by this woman running after me with a carrot, in the hotel lobby. I'm just kidding. No, but honestly, it's like, yeah, I think that's material for a separate live stream. But honestly, just look at people. Well, Amy, thank you so much. I hardly look forward to it. I am 53, but yeah, thank you for that. I self-define as 30, actually. Yeah, I think we can just self-define as something now. Hilarcus says meat products are often quite bad, but not the meat itself. I'm talking about lean meat, like not what's the word? Not lean meat, but unprocessed meat, like a steak. Liver is also good. Fish, chicken. I'm not a big fan of chicken because that's the word, lean. Chicken is too lean. You need the fats. Well, Amy, that's very kind of you. So, yeah, but this is a totally different topic. But back to let's see, I can. Yeah, Horror Business says the meat in Norway is different from the meat in America. Keep that in mind. Yeah, because a lot of the here I go talking about diet again, but I will say just one more thing. In the USA, a lot more hormones and so on are allowed in to give the cattle. So yeah, the meter is healthier. But anyway, back to the topic. It's strange how these traditions stick. By that I mean, so you have Christian confirmation being what almost all the teenage kids are doing, but Norway is a secular country. So why do they do that? And also at Christmas, it's like tradition to go to church on the 24th of December. Why do people do that? I find it, and then the rest of the day, we Norway we celebrate Christmas. We say jul, which is the old word. We celebrate. Yeah, exactly. It's jul. Yes, as I said now. And then the rest is celebrated like with a massive amount of gluttony and drinking alcohol and getting drunk and all of that, and that's very much aligned with the old tradition in pre-Christian times. And so if you didn't know, then the juleblot, which blot was an offering but also a party, and that was I always forget the date, but 3 weeks. Now hold on. Is it the 13th of January? But it was celebrated leading up to and including, I believe, the 13th of January. That's the juleblot. And at midwinter, which would be the 21st of December, that's when the time of Yule would start. So, and it's the darkest time of the year, right? So so you would have a few weeks when people would visit each other and so on, and a lot of those visits would involve consuming alcohol, and eating. And that's what people do at the 24th. And we know that Christmas was kind of put on top of the traditional winter solstice celebration at 21st. So it's almost the same day, because people were already celebrating. And when Christianity took over, things like obligatory drinking became a thing, actually. You would, I can't remember the years exactly, but you would be put in, you could be imprisoned if you had a farm and you didn't brew enough beer for Christmas. So that's the strange idea of, yeah. But anyway, that's a big topic, and I feel you can maybe hear it that I'm kind of trying to stop talking about that, because I'll just keep going. But I will mention this because we tend to forget, and we tend to think that we are so progressive. Did you know, and some of you will know this, that during the medieval age, like high medieval age, at least, meat was seen as, eating meat was seen as maybe not sinful, but a vegan diet was seen as more, what's the word, when you're really, really committed to Christianity. Yeah, was it King Alfred who tried to live on a only vegan diet? It's a little bit before my focus on the Viking Age, that, but so what I'm trying to say is that veganism, there's nothing new about that, and the idea that it is ideologically superior is not a new idea either. Devoted. Pious, yes. UFO says burned too many calories in the 12th century to be a vegan. Well, that's a good point. But also we know that actually this is quite interesting. After the Viking Age, when the feudal system had kind of taken over completely, peasants would eat mostly vegetables. Meat was for the rich. And cheese was actually called white meat, and it was seen as a meat substitute. So the more you know. And I also, Amy says, people in medieval times ate what they could catch, kill or trap. That's probably very true. Alex says, pious, I will say pious, is pronounced pious. Yeah, I'll say pious. Thank you. So I think that peasants during the medieval age, they would go out and hunt on the landowner's land. I do believe that they did that because, obviously in Scandinavia it was very easy to do that, and it was not because the forests are vast here, deep valleys, huge mountains and all of that, so you can't police that. But our friend the English Knight, he's on YouTube, what's his name, medieval time, modern history TV. He had the video about this, and he said that he thinks that the peasants did hunt and trap whenever they could, and even though it was not legal, they took a chance. I think that's a good point. I think they did. So because when you're hungry, you will do things. You will take the chance, you know. Tudum says when Christianity came, the church made moose, elk, etc. The churches came, hindering normal folks to hunt it, making starvation even worse. Yeah, it's I didn't know that actually, but I will say that diet back then was very seasonal, first of all, and that means that you had the so-called hungry gap, which is the time after you have emptied what food you had saved up from the year before, but also it's too early to get any crops off the fields. And during the hunger gap, you kind of, I think, you have to hunt or fish. Because where else would you get the food, you know? Amy says my hunger gap is between breakfast and lunch. Any question here? Any recommendations for beginner sources on learning the pagan beliefs? I always say begin with Håvard Mål. There are translations out there. There's a guy on YouTube who is a Norse. He's American, so he's like a bit unique in that way. He's a Norse scholar. But, you know, just look up the Håvard Mål, and begin there. That's a good place to begin. Amy says, when will you have your books in English? Well, the tricky part here is that it's not up to me. It's not up to me. Garden Prepping, good to see you as well. I need a book deal with an English language translator. Why don't you just publish the books yourself? The reason is that it's theft. I can't police that myself, because my job is writing books, and that's why I need a publisher who can make sure that they go after those who pirate my books. They can go after them legally. And my agent has not managed to secure or to land a book deal for my books in English yet. But as I'm speaking as per now, you know, if someone's listening to this or watching this in the future, that might have changed. Yeah, I know there are many publishers. I absolutely, yeah. Think you need a new agent? Yeah, well, it's not so easy to get an agent, actually. And the response I see, it's like, so, okay, so if you go, it's very difficult because I'll just say the word woke, okay? It's damaged the publishing business a lot. and I'm all the wrong things. I'm wrong in so many ways. I it you know, WOKE. It's a virus in the publishing business. Now we also have like the AI, which is ruining the publishing business. So it's quite difficult, that one. The tides are turning. I hope so. It's just that it looks like it might be turning from one evil to another one, which is turning from woke to almost Christian nationalism. And I'm telling you, if it's Christian nationalism, which if you think that's a great thing, you won't like my books. You probably, well, maybe I don't know, but let's see here. Yeah, modernity says straight white carnivore. Yeah, I know. Couldn't be worse. I'm like the devil himself, or I'm Beelzebub. Horror business says Bjorn is always going to have a thick head. Oh, of hair, even as an old man. Yeah, I have quite a thick head as well, actually. I have a very big head. Esther says, my cardiologist says that eating red meat is highly inflammatory. Love the sound of rain on the roof. So what I will say is that since I am not a doctor, I will not give nutritional advice. I will advise you to get a second opinion on which foods create inflammation in the body. And you might be surprised when you read the actual research on that. Or businesses, I don't take health advice from anyone who doesn't have muscle. Well, yeah, it's that's a good point, actually, because did you know that what's the word, marker, or a factor? So for predicting someone's how old you will be is your leg strength. Do you know that? So what that means is that if you have good lower body strength, you will have a longer life. And that's probably because, if you think about it, if you are strong, you are much less prone to breaking a leg. If you break a leg as a 90-year-old, it can be the end of you. So it's yeah, having muscle is very, very healthy, very healthy. And not just leg strength, of course, but just functional strength, not the bodybuilder type thing, but functional strength. What we do know about vegetables and grain is that they do create an inflammatory condition in your gut. So you can get leaky gut syndrome, which is where all of these, well, at least many of these autoimmune diseases comes from. You can't get leaky gut syndrome from eating meat. You just, you can't. So, would I be rather stuck in an elevator with a vegan communist or a Christian? I have nothing against Christians at all. But I get your point. Like someone who's trying to push their beliefs on me. I think that's bad, no matter what those beliefs are. So, you know, I and by the way, I do eat. I do eat some carbs. I do eat some carbs, but that's just to keep my weight up. So if I wanted to lose weight, I would just cut out the carbs to almost like 50 grams per day. Well, Tyrdom, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, all plants, they contain toxins. That's their defense mechanism. Amy, I do have the education as a personal trainer, actually. Average Norwegian gamer says I'm a mystery. I'm Norwegian. I can't guess what he votes. Well, actually, I can tell you what I voted. We just had the election, and I really want to put an R in there because that would be so funny. In Norway, we only have that every fourth year. Did you get that? Oh, what a bad dad joke that was. I voted for the Progress Party, which is a funny name because it's really a it's a right wing / conservative / libertarian party, I would say. And I disagree with them on many things. Many things. But in Norway now, there is one main issue, and that's taxes. And they need to lower the taxes, and the tax system needs to be changed. It's just insane how it is now. But no, we will have socialists, social democrats, or whatever the fuck they call themselves. But it's socialism, and we will have that for 4 more years. It will not be good for Norway. It will not be good for Norway at all. So, yeah. And the main reason why I voted for that party was that we have something called the exit tax. So they tax you. They take an insane amount of everything you, as a business owner, of the value of your business, if you move out to Norway. That's the exit tax. Fuck them for that. They should be ashamed of themselves. Yeah, so I can't move. I can't get out of Norway. Can't get out of Norway because of that. So that's why you know, I voted the Progress Party. They are fucking bastards when it comes to the environment. So I hate that about them. But anyway. DG says carnivore is the only way at 56. I can live without extreme arthritic pain and agony. How much is the exit tax? Isn't that like the same? It's isn't it 38%? I might be mistaken there, because I looked at it and then I tried to not think about it anymore, because it made me physically sick when they did that. Physically sick. Because then I knew that, I can't move. Can't move. And actually, I don't want to move out to Norway, but we have gotten to a point now where it's starting to affect how much money I'm saving up for retirement. So in reality, with this tax level, it's very difficult to save up for retirement. And I was quite poor most of my life, so I only get the minimum state pension when I retire. So, and you can't really, it's not, you can't live, it's not enough. Couldn't you put your wealth into gold and then move abroad? No, that wouldn't change the thing. Take all your money into Bitcoin, then move on. No, sorry, that won't work. They have plugged all the holes in the system. The Dystopian Times is asking, what's your thoughts on Finland's and Sweden's immigration policies? I don't know so much about Finland's immigration policies. I don't know. I don't know, but well, Sweden, it's been crazy. It's that's why you have no-go zones and so on in Sweden. Yeah, and I would not want to move to the USA, because I feel that there are so many things that are wrong with the USA now, which is a shame, because because of the wonderful people, because of nature, the scenery, and this attitude that everyone can make it. That's a very good attitude. Yeah. Modernity, you're being very funny. So where to move, I don't know. I am hoping that maybe after these 4 years, maybe people will have woken up and they will vote other parties into the government, and then they will change things. But maybe that's a bit naive. Maybe that's a bit naive. So, and the EU countries, the problem there is the EU, of course. I would not want to live in an EU country. I really like the UK, but obviously, the UK is a mess. And it feels almost like it's been engineered that way. The Dystopian Times is asking, what's your thoughts on a white ethno-state, either in Europe or elsewhere? I think that's been attempted before by a man with a very ugly little mustache, and obviously I do not support that. the Saxon says that I can bench press the moon. Didn't do nothing. Didn't do nothing. Yeah, okay. Don't write the UK off yet. Okay. Yes. No, I won't. And that's because of the people, the Anglo-Saxons, and the Scots, and the Welsh, and I believe that the people in the UK are very resilient, and when they rise up, it's going to be beautiful to behold. I really mean that. Take back national pride in who you are, really, and not in a hateful way. Not in a hateful way. Not in. Okay, so what I will say is that we have all heard about raise the colors. So the St. George flag being displayed in and the Union Jack. Is it the Union Jack? The flags, the UK flags, they are being displayed and painted in the streets and so on. And I see that as I don't think I do not like that movement, because I feel it's no, that was, I'll take that back. I dislike parts of that movement because it seems to be directed towards the wrong people in a way, and it could develop into pure racial hatred, and you don't want that. You don't want that. It's like, I would hate to see a bunch of hooligans roaming the streets in Britain, beating up everyone with a dark skin color. I don't want to see that. I don't want that to happen. It would be wrong. But again, so national pride is a good thing. We have that in Norway, and it's a positive thing. Amy says, proud to be British, proud of my history and ancestors. Yes, and it should be. You have reason to be. Absolutely. I mean, who can... I think to Norwegians, it's very strange that the English are not displaying their pride in their national pride more. Because we are like in awe of everything English and Scottish and Welsh and all of that. So I just don't want that whole movement to end up like you have the people on the top, Keir Starmer and his cronies there, and the people who own them, and they're sitting on top there just looking at the hooligans and the Muslim gangs beating up each other in the streets while they're drinking their tea. And then they will be using that to implement further surveillance, if it's possible with more surveillance. I think it is still possible to get even more surveillance in the UK, but not so much, because it is at this point a surveillance state, and a state with limits to free speech. So, John, I don't disagree with you. It's just a word of caution, okay? You're saying we have to defend ourselves. That's not hate. It's easy for me to say this. I'm here in Norway. I don't see any racial conflicts, or we don't really have that so much here, you know. It's easy for me to say. If I was in the middle of it, I would probably not be able to say what I'm saying. But yeah, you have the right to defend yourself. You are right. And don't even get me started with these Muslim grooming gangs and all that, which is still ongoing. So, you know, yeah, take back national pride in the UK. Take it back. It's yours, you know. So, Amy says, if what's happening here in the UK happened in Norway, it would have been sorted out by now. I don't know. I hope so, but depends. Not with the government that we have now. No. Macy says, I'm English, and I was thinking the other day about English food and what that is now. I like to read a lot of old English recipes books, and it's surprising what's been lost. Yeah. I love English food. I love English food. But not, that's probably not, what I call English food is probably not what English are eating now. Yeah. Beans and toast. Yeah. I don't think that's healthy food. Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking more like shepherd's pie and Sunday, what do you say, Sunday roast, like the steak, and the Christmas, traditional English Christmas food and all of that. That's what I'm thinking about, but that's probably not English, what the English are eating now. Mrs. Sorpo says English food, eggs, bacon, bangers, that's the little sausages. Black pudding, but bacon, will it become forbidden? I don't know. Yeah, I've eaten haggis, yeah. I'm waiting for the church ritual Christian confirmation thing to be over. That's why I'm in the car. What, little hazy? Can't you say that you love bacon in public? No. Laura, I actually don't eat bacon now because the bacon that you buy in the stores, it's, what do you call it, nitrate. It's filled with nitrates, which is not so good. Yeah. But, you know, proper bacon, which is just the meat, is wonderful. Yeah, Little Hazy says they put a woman in jail for 31 months for a Facebook post, bro. Yeah, this is funny. So here's the EU thing that, so if they do something in the EU, the Norwegian government says, oh, we will do it too. So it doesn't come off this thing, because if I tear it off, obviously I will throw it away in nature, because that's what people do. They just throw these away. If they came off, people just throw them away, and because they like the litter. No, they don't. But it's yeah, it does come off. But it's not something that keeps me awake at night, but it is also like, I don't like this. Again, there's a word for that. When they treat people like they're children. But some people are idiots. So I don't care if if it's attached here normally. I don't care. Infantilization, nanny state, yeah. But it's a very small thing. That was a bit of Norwegian there. It's a very small thing. I don't care. And actually, if it prevents people from, if there are actually people, then yeah, that's probably a good thing. Okay. But I'll have to end this live stream now. It was good to speak with you guys. I am wanted at gluttony gathering, where gifts will be given and all of that. I brought my own food. So I brought my own food. Oh, interesting times to be alive, isn't it? Okay. Ha det bra. That's what we say in Norwegian, and it means have it good. Yeah, have it good. I'll say have it good from now on. Okay, bye bye. Have it good.